Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day, welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. You can watch this program live on our Facebook page, that's Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can also hear us live on our audio streaming at Evox PBS Receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
On our top story, the Department of Education kicks off its week-long and nationwide Brigada Eskwela program starting today, June 9th until June 13th, that's on Friday. Brigada Eskwela is a 5-day activity that upholds the spirit of bayanihan and encouraging community collaboration to prepare schools for the upcoming school year. Activities on the said program are the following. That's cleaning, repainting, and repairing classrooms and school facilities, providing support for the physical and mental well-being of learners, and address the concerns of parents and stakeholders. And today, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will lead two Brigada Eskwela events in Bulacan. And as you can see on the screen right now, President Marcos Jr. is conducting an inspection at the elementary school in Malolo City in Bulacan, particularly the elementary school that's in Barihan Elementary School, located in that same city. And as you can see right now, the president is drilling a board, which means that the president is participating in this Brigada Eskwela activity in that elementary school. And later today, President Marcos will head to another elementary school that's in San Miguel Town, both in the same province.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Half of Filipino families rated themselves poor in April. That's according to a social weather station survey. And that survey was held from April 23 to 28. And the score of that survey was 5 points lower than the earlier survey conducted from April 11 to 15, which is at 50%. So that's a 5 percentage points lower than its earlier survey from the last or previous week in that month. So SWS attributed the drop to declines in Metro Manila and Mindanao, as well as steady scores in that same region. So self-rated poverty in Metro Manila dropped by 12 points, now to 33%. So Mindanao saw the 9-point drop to 61%. And at the same time, self-rated poverty was highest in the Visayas, which remained unchanged at 67%. Balanced Luzon, which is areas located outside of the National Capital Region, stayed flat or nearly flat at 43%. Meanwhile, 8% of Filipinos or Filipino families reported themselves as borderline between poor and not poor, while 42% said that they were not poor. And the dip in self-rated poverty came amid positive economic indicators which could positively impact future self-rated poverty surveys. And we not to mention that the inflation rate last month, as reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority, dropped to 1.3%. So that's a percentage lower than in last April. So that's recorded at 1.4%. So, despite the improving economic data, the survey highlights a persistent feeling of deprivation among many Filipino families. So, there's a lot of programs and interventions that the government is providing to our poor families, namely the Walang Gutom program, which is spearheaded by the Department of Social Welfare and Development, as well as the Sustainable Living program, and the assistance to individuals in crisis situation, which is under the program of the DSWD. So both of those programs are aimed to address the current poverty situation of Filipinos. So, despite that, we will the poverty will go down. So, as stated in that survey. So, going back again, so the dip in self-rated poverty came amid positive economic indicators. So, besides inflation rate, which was recorded lower in the previous months, there's a positive uh, there's a positive out or news that came from our business sector. So the investors are continuously coming into our country. So that could improve our economic situation here in the country.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And meanwhile, on the overseas Filipino workers side, so the Department of Migrant Workers has strengthened partnerships with 15 other government agencies to ensure a more responsive reintegration efforts for overseas Filipino workers. Following the signing of a joint memorandum circular or with multiple government agencies, the program established the new National Reintegration Network for OFWs. The said network program is based on the implementing rules and regulations of the Republic Act 11641, which establishes the Department of Migrant Workers, or also known as the DMW Act, which aims to strengthen the societal stakeholders' coordination in the delivery of reintegration services as pursuant to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive for a stronger interagency collaboration to ensure quick and efficient delivery of reintegration services for OFWs. So each time our modern day heroes, as we call our overseas workers, returns in the country, the government usually provides livelihood, micro enterprises, and employment assistance and referrals. And the new NRN, or the National Reintegration Network for OFWs, was formed following the signing of a joint memorandum circular, or JMC, during the 30th anniversary celebration of the Migrant Workers' Day. Meanwhile, DMW assured our Filipino workers abroad of the government's full support. So with its action fund, the DMW will enable to provide welfare support to OFWs who wishes to return to the country, or if we hope, settle in the country for good. As DMW Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak puts it, the Bayanan spirit is deeply rooted in the Filipino culture, and it also enshrines in our constitution as well, that recognizes labor as a vital force in the economy, and it mandates the state to protect the rights and workers and promote their welfare.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Okay, in some good news, over the weekend, Indian tourists may enter the Philippines without or without a visa for 14 days. So that visa-free policy for Indian citizens, which has started yesterday, June 8th, provides a visa that is non-extendable or extendable and non-convertible and can be used for 14 days or 2 weeks. So the move aims to increase the tourist arrivals from India to the country. And the Department of Foreign Affairs said that its citizens or Indian citizens must present a passport valid for at least 6 months beyond the contemplated stay, confirm accommodation or bookings, proof of financial capacity, and return or onward ticket to the next country of destination. Indian nationals that holds valid and current American, Japanese, Australian, Canadian, Shenzhen, Singapore, or United Kingdom visas or residence permits and are visiting for tourism purposes, meanwhile, may enter the Philippines visa-free for a non-extendable period of 30 days. The DFA said the updated visa-free privileges for Indian nationals may be availed of at any Philippine port of entry but are not convertible to a visa-based stay or other admission status categories. Indian nationals must not have any derogatory record as usual with the Bureau of Immigration to be admitted into the country without a visa. Exempted from that scheme, on the other hand, are Indian nationals transiting in the Philippines or entering the country for long-term visas or long-term visits and non-tourism activities. The DFA said these individuals are required to apply for an appropriate visa at a Philippine embassy or consulate in their country or origin, place of legal residence, or any country that requires entry visas for Indian nationals. And Indian nationals who are eligible for e-visas may apply at this website. So that's evisa.gov.ph. And that move comes after the tourism department saw the promising number of Indian visitors toured the country in 2024, which was recorded at 80,000. And to further complement that potential influx of visitors from India, its national flag carrier, the Air India, sets to roll out its non-stop flights from Manila and Delhi that will be starting or will commence on October 1st. That's a highly anticipated development for a Philippine tourism sector as it targets to boost visitor arrivals from the coveted Indian markets. And based on ASEAN data, so that's more than 4.2 million Indians traveled to Southeast Asia alone in 2024.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And before we head to our break, so there's a recorded floods in some regions and areas in the Philippines due to heavy rains and that caused by a low pressure area. And some areas were inundated and some residents are required to evacuate from their homes. And at the same time, the local government is appealing for help for their residents. So what is the government is doing to address this situation, given that the habagat season or the rainy season is coming up? So that's we're going to discuss with the Office of Civil Defense with its Executive Director, Undersecretary Ariel Nepomuceno, when Front and Center returns after these messages.
Pinangunahan ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ang ikatlong tranche ng refleeting program ng National Irrigation Administration sa Barangay Wawa, Taguig City.
Napakahalaga ng refleeting program ng NIA lalo na po sa panahon ngayon. Mabigat ang pagsubok na kinakaharap ng ating mga magsasaka dahil nga sa dinudulot na climate change. Mas matinding init, mas malalang ulan at pabago-bago at hindi malaman kung anong dry season na, kung wet season, pabago-bago ang panahon.
Kabilang sa mga ipinamahagi ay mga kagamitang pang-irigasyon, pansaka at mga operations and maintenance equipment.
Sa tulong ng mga sasakyan, backhoe, dump truck, excavator. Umaasa tayo na mas bibilis ang pagsasaayos ng mga nasirang irigasyon at ang pagpapatayo ng mga bagong proyektong patubig. Mula Luzon hanggang Mindanao, maging lowland man o upland farming, siguradong may maasahang sistemang patubig ang mga magsasaka natin.
Para sa iba pang mga balita at impormasyon, manatiling nakatuto. Tapat sa pag-uulat. Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko 738.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. So, as mentioned earlier, there are recorded floods in some areas in the country. So, regarding that, we would like to know what are the government's response regarding this incident, and how the government can help its residents regarding this situation, given that we are entering, or we have just entered into rainy season, or as we know, the Habagat season. So we now have on the line the Executive Director of the Office of Civil Defense, Undersecretary Ariel Nepomuceno. Undersecretary, good morning. This is Jerome Toledo from Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning po. Listeners, good morning.
Good morning, Yusek. Sorry, there's a line. Can you hear me now?
Yes, malinaw na po.
Okay.
Good morning po.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so there's there's some floods that were recorded over the weekend, particularly po dun sa Zamboanga City and in a certain area sa Bulacan. So what's the response of the OCD regarding this situation of flooding sa mga areas na po ito?
First of all, we have already mobilized our regional offices, and as an automatic procedure, all the other agencies are also coordinating with us and responding with their different roles. For example, the usual automatic response will be that the SWD will be delivering their family food packs, and they're always ready. The good news is DSWD has strategically deployed and stocked all their food items nationwide. They have more than almost 3 million family food packs nationwide. So as a response, they will be delivering those items, part of those items, to the affected areas. And the same with the Office of Civil Defense. Aside from the regular coordination that we're doing, we'll be delivering also our non-food items, such as the repair kits if needed, hygiene kits also from us and the DOH. And then if there's a prolonged impact on the affected areas, the Department of Labor and the DTI will also come in. But meanwhile, we're already braced towards handling the onset of the rainy and typhoon season po.
Okay. So I would like to ask go back to the situation in Zamboanga, where some residents experience a chest level flooding. What's the situation there? Did you receive any report from the local government or the OCD regional office there?
Yes, actually, I'm waiting. Over lunch, we will be having a meeting with our regional office. We will be finding out what's the exact situation in the area. But expectedly, there are heavy damages in the agricultural sector, and we'll get a report on how many casualties we have, how many are reported. But as of Saturday, I was informed there are already casualties. So I'm waiting for the official report.
Okay, so if we say casualty, so what exactly are you referring to, Undersecretary?
Meaning those who are injured and those who have died from the flash floods. I will just double check the figure, but I received there are already reported dead persons due to drowning.
Oh, okay. Okay, and you have to wait for that data coming from them, from the
Yes,
OCD
by
Zamboanga.
around 12 o'clock, we'll have the official report
I see. Okay.
um, regarding the casualties. For us, that's the most crucial because, as instructed by the president, aside from making sure that we continuously assist our communities that are affected by the continuous rain, uh, our target always is to have zero casualty. But although it's quite difficult, but that's our uh, task to make sure that people will not be affected by, meaning they will be injured or die from these expected strong rains.
Okay, so moving forward, Yusek Nepomuceno, so how can we ensure that less or there will be a minimal casualty, given that it's you mentioned that zero casualty is something that is something hard to attain or achieve.
Yes, two things. With regard to our preparations for typhoons, the standard operating procedures or protocols are already strongly in place and well disseminated, and shall I can say that well practiced already. So meaning about a week before any typhoon will come to the Philippine area of responsibility, the entire government machinery, not only OCD, but the response agencies are already preparing. And the people are already anticipating what to do. In
Okay.
particular, what we say that they have to evacuate, they are already almost instantly following already the call of the government, especially the local government units. So in this way, we are able to lessen the number of casualties, especially those who will die from the strong typhoons. However, number two, what we are trying to catch up with will be the uh, installation or the development of protocols with regard to thunderstorms, intertropical convergence zones, shear lines, because we have yet to have a solid protocol for this. We have already requested Pag-asa if they can help the NDRRMC, if they can help us develop a protocol for that, because somehow everyone, especially the communities, when it comes to ITCZ, shear line, and thunderstorms, we don't know yet what to do. Not in the same level as what we usually do as a reaction with regard to typhoons. So this is something that we have to develop. This is the gap in our preparations. So we cannot anymore ignore the also the deadly and destructive impact of this other weather phenomena.
Okay.
The climate change is already here. Typhoons and again IPCC, shear lines, thunderstorms have become more unpredictable, more widespread, and more destructive. So we have to have a scientifically based protocol to help us manage the preparations and response for this other weather phenomenon.
And a good thing about our weather out or climate outlook for this year, Undersecretary, is that the existence of La Nina is not present at the moment, so it's under neutral as per ENSO report, I think.
Yes, actually, the attitude that we're taking or adopting is we're always trying to expect and prepare for the worst. Although there's no notice yet that there will be a La Nina,
Yeah.
unlike last year, we were
Yes.
at the middle of the year, we were experiencing the El Nino phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
But we were thinking that there will be no strong typhoons. However, we experienced an unprecedented six typhoons in 45 days. So for this year, although it sounds relatively better in terms of forecast, that there's no La Nina, and there's no El Nino, and there will be only 19 typhoons instead of more than 20. But still, the attitude that we are adopting and practicing will be we have to prepare for the worst. Of course, we pray that things will become better.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's the instructions of the President, President Bongbong Marcos, to make sure that we are ready. And once the calamity or strong typhoons would hit any community in the Philippines, we are there immediately.
Mm-hmm.
The local government units are ready. Our provisions in terms of food support, non-food items, hygiene kits, repair items for their houses, we have already strategically deployed them. So we are always preparing for the worst, and that's the attitude that we have undertaken.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Earlier, sorry, before the rainy season has started, so as far way back in May, you urge the public, or I'm sorry, the local and national government to identify evacuation centers. So, does
Yes.
the OCD already identified areas that are suitable for evacuees to go there or stay there?
Not yet. This will take quite a long process because the well, the objective of the new law is to make sure that every municipality and city will have an evacuation center or evacuation centers.
Mm.
Now, to make sure that these evacuation centers will be safe, meaning free from natural hazards, not only typhoons, flash
Mm-hmm.
floods, but also they shall be safe from earthquakes, so and landslides.
Mm-hmm.
So identifying them will need the scientific inputs from other government agencies such as the MGB, the Peoples, the OST in general.
Mm-hmm.
So it will take some time, but we will try to rush this. But the rollout from the identification up to the actual construction and finishing the construction will really take years. So for the short term, we have to still use the usual evacuation centers that we're using. Unfortunately, many of them are public schools. So
Mm-hmm.
we will have to catch up. Indeed, you're right, identifying these areas.
Mm-hmm.
But doing so, we have to make sure that these areas will not be, that they will always be safe from the natural hazards.
Okay, and that includes a coordination with the education department and the public works and highways
Yes,
department.
yes. Yes, the one who will really build the evacuation centers will be the DPWH. The role of OCD is to coordinate all the agencies in
Mm.
identifying the safe location for the evacuation centers.
Mhm. Okay. So I'm down to a few questions, Yusek Nepomuceno. So just give us an update regarding the situation at the Canlaon volcano areas, particularly towns located near at the mount or the Canlaon volcano. So there's a possibility that because as we know, Canlaon volcano continues to uh, has spew tons of ashes in the past few months. So now that we are here on a rainy season, there's a possibility that of lahar will flow into their rivers. So what's the game plan? What's the action of the OCD and its regional office?
Yes. So you're right. We're now entering the possibility of a multi-hazard, meaning
Mm-hmm.
multi-hazard situation, meaning aside from the volcanic eruption, which is now into its fifth month. So
Mm-hmm.
our operations in the Negros Island regional area has already its fifth month. So
Mm-hmm.
now the rain comes in, and for two times already, there are reported mud flows or lahar flows. So, and then June 16, we're pressured because we have to vacate the schools that are being used as evacuation centers,
Mm-hmm.
because out of the 21 evacuation centers, the 12 of them are schools, and still we have around 8,000 plus persons inside the evacuation centers, meaning these are
Mm-hmm.
2,500 families. So it's very challenging, and the people are already quite restive. The evacuees, the internally displaced persons are already quite stressed and pressured, and the actual damages in the area in terms of agriculture, we have already lost at least 129 million in terms of value. So we are really experiencing huge challenges in the area. So we have activated few months back the regional task force for Canlaon, and then the president has instructed to elevate this to the national level. So we have a national task force for Canlaon. So that means the resources of the national government agencies are fully committed and are being used to manage the situation in the NIR. So, but the bigger challenge is right now it's still at level 3. The alert level is at level 3. When it becomes level 4, this will mean that those in the 6 to 10 kilometer areas should also be vacating their houses. So from a total of around 2,000 plus families, we are expecting an additional 10,000 families that should be added to our evacuation centers at the minimum. So we have already prepared for that contingency, for that possibility. There are cities and municipalities that are not affected and are not going to be affected when it becomes level 4, who they are willing to adopt the families that will be affected by the increase in the alert level, because our evacuation centers cannot be enough to accommodate everyone who will need to be evacuated.
Okay. So the OCD is expecting an extensive damage out of this lahar that caused by the Canlaon volcano. Anyway, okay. So final message, Undersecretary Nepomuceno, regarding the situation here. We are already on habagat season. So what can the public expect from the OCD?
Yes, we'll be constantly reminding our communities, the entire nation, on what will be happening. So this is the standard protocol already with the help of the other agencies, especially Pag-asa, and in the case of Canlaon Peoples, we will be getting relevant information, and we will make sure that our communities will know that what is coming. So we are hoping that, as usual, our communities would be responding well and cooperating with us, because saving them will be done not by the government per se, but it will really depend. Actually, they themselves will be able to save themselves and their loved ones.
Okay. So in short, as Undersecretary Nepomuceno said, just a cooperation with the local or national government will significantly reduce the risk of losing lives from these strategies, and that is brought by these rainy season. And with that,
in particular, when we request, or eventually when we ask our local government units to already require or do a forced evacuation order, they have to comply. They should stop guessing if typhoons are strong enough or not strong enough. Every time that there will be a call for evacuation, they should follow.
Okay. All right. Well, very well said. And with that, thank you for joining us in the program, Undersecretary Ariel Nepomuceno, the Executive Director of Office of Civil Defense. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our production team and technical personnel, this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay, love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched
Front and Center.
Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.